You made gorgeous jewelry. Now, how do you sell it?
Okay, so let's start with what are your options for selling your craft, your jewelry, for example? Well, there's several and they are all different. First of all, you can start selling in person, and that's, for example, craft fairs. You would need a stall, you would need to prepare for selling. Are you going to take cash only, or are you going to accept cards? Not every craft fair accepts anyone. You would have to apply and check if you'd be accepted, because sometimes the amount of people is limited. Another way to sell in person is when you stock your items with a shop. You could go and ask jeweler's store or craft stores in your area if maybe they would like to start a partnership with you and stock your items. Again, this is their decision to make, so it might not be possible. Do they want to pay for each item that you make, or they just want to pay upfront for those items and then they're just going to worry about reselling those? Then there are sites like Etsy, for example. Those are good when you are just getting started, when you have no idea about anything at all, and you have absolutely no customer base and you are just building that. I started on Etsy. A lot of people know about Etsy, but honestly, the goal, I would say, would be to work towards your own website and your own online shop. And to be honest, you don't have to have both at the same time. You could have a website that will just link to your products, to your social media, to your videos if you have any, or make it easier for customers to contact you, because on your website you could have your contact details, your about, and maybe a little form for people to send you an email. So it's just streamlining that contact with customer. Whereas, when you have your online shop, you have everything in one place already. If you can limit the steps your customers or your viewers have to make to reach you or make a purchase, the better, honestly, because you want it to be as easy as possible. So yeah, let's talk about website, because that's where you want to end up with your business, because professionally looking business is usually having this front online, and especially in today's world where everything is online and where different things are happening that are keeping us inside of our houses. We all know what I mean. It's even better to have your presence online and not just social media.
The very first things that you have to consider before you start selling is how and what are you going to sell. And by that, I mean, are you going to sell finished work or items that are made to order? Are you going to go for single pieces, something that's one of a kind, or are you going to work in small batches of the same item? And last but not least, are you going to offer custom work and working with clients? That's definitely completely different than when you are working on a design that's your own, you're putting that out and someone buys it. Whereas here you are working with the customer from the beginning. When you sell finished work, it's, I would say, a bit easier when it comes to organization. Obviously, it depends on you entirely, but I'll base this example on myself. I prefer creating a finished jewelry and working at my own pace. That's why I prefer to just work on designs, because the whole creative process for me is very important. And then I like to combine those finished pieces into a collection. Not always, but that's how I ended up doing this so far. But in the case when you are putting out a single item, you can have more control of how often your shop updates and how often your clients are actually able to buy from you. So what's the difference when you make to order, right? So I will give you an example. I used to sell alpaca, llama, earrings, pendants, and rings. And honestly, I've made few pieces, to take photos, to test how long it takes me to make this, to test different finishes, and go about the whole technical aspects. And then I took photos and I've listed those items in my shop. I was making on these orders whenever they came into my shop, and I had a clear information about this in my shop too, that this item is made to order and it usually takes me 3 to 5 business days to complete it. Why this might be a good option for you? Well, you don't have to use the materials up front. You only use materials when you actually have an order.
Regardless where you are selling, whether that's a website, Etsy, in person, through social media, always remember to prepare an FAQ, frequently asked questions for your shops, and policies, essentially creating policies for your shop and also including all that information in frequently asked questions. You just want to make sure that your customers are able to find that information. And what should be covered? I have the most important points over here, which I think are absolutely necessary to cover. First one, production time and how long it takes you to make something, to dispatch it. Then shipping service. Which shipping service are you using? And what are shipping rates? Then packing info. If you want to, I wouldn't say this is absolutely necessary, but a lot of people are buying items as gifts, so it would be nice to let them know how your items are being packaged, and if you offer gift wrapping, if anyone who wants to buy something as gift would be able to request a gift wrap. Custom work info. If you offer custom work, it would be great to provide information what exactly goes into creating a custom piece with you for anyone who's interested. Reservations info. Do you reserve items or not? Cancellation and refunds policy. This is obviously very important. You are required by law to offer these, so check with your local law wherever you live how that works in your country, what you are required to do. Exchange policy, same thing. Do you offer exchange? How, on what terms, on what items? Obviously there are things that are made to order and they cannot be exchanged because they have your name on it, for example. Then customs info and tax info. Like a lot of countries have custom charges and people will have to pay for that, but sometimes not everyone is aware and they are surprised that their item arrived in their country and now they have to pay extra. Well, that's not your fault. That's what they have to do. They are unfortunately required by the government, so it's good to let them know about that too. And yeah, anything else you wanna tell people in this section, whether that's policies, that's part of your policies, or if it's just the general information.
Mentioned custom work and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about it. So again, it depends on how you like to work and how good are you at customer service actually, and dealing with customers, talking to people, because it's actually important. Being able to communicate with your clients and do it clearly, regularly and efficiently is a skill, and not everyone has that, and that's okay. And also it depends on your creativity and if you are able to work to deadline, be realistic and be true with yourself and with your customers without putting too much pressure on yourself and without causing any situation that might be too stressful for you or your customers. But let's say you want to do custom work. That's brilliant. Make a note about this, tell people about this, and then make sure that it's easy for customers to reach you, to contact you with this particular matter. You can either have a specific form available for your customers to reach you, or you can have a separate email for that. You can have a separate profile on your social media for that. Honestly, whichever is best for you, just making sure that it's easier for your customers to reach you. Second thing is to having all of the details regarding that custom work available to your customers before they start working with you, so they can read through, see what are the rules, what are the things they can expect, and then make a decision based upon this. So again, to summarize, here are things to consider when you do custom work.
Have an FAQ ready, clear rules and pricing. What do you charge upfront, etc. Production time, amount of revisions. Start with several customers. Don't take on too much work at once because this may cause pressure and stress and cause you to miss deadlines. First, see how fast and how much you can do in a certain amount of time and be realistic. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one.